The movie begins early one morning at 2:17 a.m. in Maybrook, Pennsylvania. 17 children from the same class suddenly leave their homes at the exact same time. They run off into the night without saying a word, leaving behind shocked and confused families. A few hours later, their teacher, Justine Gandy, arrives at school, expecting a normal day. Instead, she walks into her classroom to find it empty, except for one boy, Alex Lilly. A police investigation starts immediately. Detectives question Alex and Justine, but neither of them knows where the children went or why they all disappeared together. The school shuts down while the search continues. After 30 days, when no answers are found, the building reopens. Alex is quietly moved to another teacher's class. The school principal, Andrew Marcus, puts Justine on leave. The community begins to turn on her, whispering that she must have something to do with the disappearance. Justine feels abandoned and crushed. She starts drinking heavily and makes reckless decisions, including a one-night stand with her married ex-boyfriend, Paul Morgan, who also happens to be a police officer. At night, she's haunted by vivid nightmares of the missing children and a strange, unfamiliar woman. Although she hasn't spoken to Alex since the incident, Justine feels she needs to. When she asks Marcus about it, he refuses, saying it isn't allowed. Later, she tries to catch him after school to plead her case, but he brushes her off. She even goes to Alex's house, but no one answers the door. One day, Justine notices something strange about the Lilly house. All the windows are covered with newspapers from the inside. She peeks through a small opening and sees two figures sitting completely still on the couch. She becomes convinced Alex's parents are purposely ignoring her. Alarmed, she calls Marcus and demands that a wellness check be performed. Her worry grows into obsession. She spends hours parked up the street, watching the house. One night, she falls asleep in her car. When she wakes, she discovers something terrifying. A woman has come out of the house, entered her car, and cut off a lock of her hair. Meanwhile, Archer Graff, the father of one of the missing kids, struggles with grief. His son, Matthew, was among the 17 who vanished. Fed up with the slow police investigation, Archer decides to search on his own. He looks at the doorbell camera footage from his house and sees the direction Matthew ran that night. Then he checks footage from another family's home and notices their daughter ran the same way. Archer draws a map and begins to connect the dots. He circles an area where he believes all the children must have crossed paths together. At the same time, Paul Morgan is facing his own problems. Earlier, he had an aggressive encounter with James, a local drug addict and small-time burglar. During a search, James accidentally poked Paul with a needle. Furious, Paul beat him and told him to leave town. Paul now worries the dashcam footage of the assault could end his career. His paranoia grows worse each day. Not long after, James breaks into Alex's house, thinking it's abandoned. What he finds shocks him. Alex's parents are sitting in a trance-like state, completely unresponsive. In the basement, he discovers the missing children, alive, but strange and silent. Later, James notices a reward poster for their return and heads to the police station. But before he can reach it, Paul intercepts him, thinking James wants to report the earlier assault. James flees into the woods, where he sees a strange woman waving at him. Paul catches up and listens to James's frantic explanation of what he saw inside Alex's house. At first doubtful, Paul grows convinced. He locks James in the back of his cruiser and drives to the Lilly home. Hours later, Paul emerges, not to free James, but to drag him inside the house. Back at school, Marcus finally agrees to Justine's request and calls for a wellness check on Alex's family. Instead of his parents, however, Alex's aunt Gladys arrives. She tells Marcus that Alex's parents are ill and that she has taken over their care. She insists everything is fine at home. Marcus isn't convinced. He warns that unless he speaks directly with Alex's parents, he will be forced to call the authorities. Soon after, Gladys shows up at Marcus's home, where he lives with his husband, Terry. She behaves politely at first, even asking for a bowl of water. But then she performs a disturbing ritual. She uses a crooked stick, her own blood, and a strand of Terry's hair. To Marcus's horror, he loses control of himself, and under Gladys's spell, murders his own partner. Gladys repeats the ritual again, this time using the lock of hair she took from Justine's car. She sends Marcus, now possessed, to kill Justine. The attack happens at a gas station, where Justine is confronted by Archer about her suspicious behavior. Suddenly, Marcus lunges at her. Archer fights him off, and Justine escapes in her car. Marcus, still under Gladys's control, chases after her. The pursuit ends when Marcus is struck and killed by an oncoming car. After surviving Marcus's attack, Justine and Archer finally reconcile. Both realize that neither of them can face what is happening alone. They decide to join forces, determined to uncover the truth. Archer lays out his map, showing the paths of the missing children that he has traced from security footage. As Justine studies the lines and arrows, something becomes immediately clear. Alex Lilly's house sits directly inside the circled zone where every single child's path converges. The revelation sends a chill through them both. The story then shifts back to the weeks leading up to the disappearance. Before the children vanished, Alex's parents agreed to take in his aunt, Gladys, who they explained was very ill and needed care. One night, after Alex was sent to bed, his parents helped the frail old woman into the house. She shuffled past him, coughing weakly, supported on both sides. But Alex was curious. Later that night, he crept from his room and peeked into hers. What he saw unsettled him deeply. The room contained a crooked little tree growing in a clay pot, a red wig placed neatly on the dresser, and Gladys herself sitting upright in bed, pale and thin, her sharp eyes fixed directly on him in the darkness. The next day, Alex waited after school for his father to pick him up, but no one came. He eventually walked home on his own. At the dinner table, his parents sat motionless. Gladys sat at the head of the table, speaking calmly. She performed a ritual with her twisted stick and whispered words that made the adults suddenly behave strangely, until Alex broke down in tears and begged her to stop. From that moment on, Alex lived under her control. He still went to school each day, but home was no longer home. Gladys forced him to cook and feed his parents bowls of thick soup to keep them alive in their dazed state. He became their caretaker, while Gladys watched. Soon, she claimed her illness was returning and demanded something new, personal items belonging to his classmates. She told Alex that these objects would restore her strength. Alex, clinging to hope that this would free his parents, stole the personalized basket labels his classmates had made in Justine's classroom. At exactly 2:17 a.m. the following morning, Gladys used the labels in a powerful ritual. Across town, the children stirred in their beds, eyes vacant. One by one, they left their houses, crossed through the darkened streets, and entered Alex's home. Like puppets under strings, they walked into the basement, where Gladys locked them away. The police launched a massive investigation into the disappearances, but Gladys prepared for every possibility. She ordered Alex to scrub the house and disguise his father's appearance when officers arrived. Whenever detectives came too close, she directed the children to slip into the nearby woods and wait until the danger passed. To the outside world, she projected the image of a harmless, sickly aunt caring for her family. But in private, Alex was forced to serve bowls of soup not only to his parents, but also to his missing classmates, ensuring their obedience and silence. Weeks passed. The nightmare deepened. One evening, Alex returned from school to find Paul Morgan and James, both fully entranced, sitting inside the house alongside his parents. Gladys explained coldly that she was weakening again and intended to leave town with Alex the very next day. That same night, Justine and Archer made their move. Determined to confront the truth, they forced their way into the Lilly house. But Gladys had anticipated them. A hidden trap was triggered, summoning Paul and James to attack. The fight was violent and chaotic. Justine and Archer tried to fend the men off, but the two were unnaturally strong under Gladys's control. Desperation filled the house until Gladys herself ended the struggle. With calculated precision, she grabbed Paul's gun and shot both men dead, discarding them the moment they were no longer useful tools. Shaken, Archer searched the basement and finally found the missing children huddled in the dark. His relief was short-lived. Gladys appeared behind him, tore dog tags from his neck, and immediately performed another ritual. The effect was instant. Archer's face went blank, his body stiffened, and he turned on Justine, attacking her with sudden ferocity. Upstairs, Alex faced his own trial. Desperate for answers, he tried to break into Gladys's locked room. His parents, still in their trance, suddenly lurched toward him, their movements jerky and hostile. Alex fled through the hallway, narrowly escaping into Gladys's room via the connected bathroom. Inside, he found the strange items he had glimpsed months earlier: the red wig, the crooked tree, and her ritual tools. He realized this was the source of her power. Thinking quickly, Alex pulled a natural strand of Gladys's hair from the wig, snapped off a branch from the tree, and mixed them with his own blood. With these pieces, he performed a desperate counter-ritual, redirecting her control and weaponizing the children against her. The result was immediate. Gladys screamed and fled the house, but her control shattered. The children, suddenly released from their trance, turned on her with violent force. They smashed through doors, crashed through windows, and stormed through neighboring houses as they pursued her. Their stampede was relentless, like a wave of fury. Gladys sprinted into the night, but the children caught her, swarming over her body. They tore her apart limb by limb until nothing was left. At that moment, Archer collapsed to the ground, freed from her spell. Horrified, but alive, he rushed out of the house, following the trail of destruction left behind. At the end of it, he found the children gathered together, and among them, his son Matthew, dazed but alive. The story closes with a grim aftermath. A voiceover explains that Alex's parents never recovered. They remained trapped in their trance-like state, hollow shells of who they once were. Alex was sent away to live with another family member in a different town. The missing children were returned to their families, but their recovery was uncertain. Many remained silent and vacant, shadows of themselves. Over time, a few slowly began to regain their ability to speak, but the scars of Gladys's control lingered. The nightmare was over, but its mark would never fully fade.